Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have an amazing guest for you today. About a year ago, I saw this gentleman give a keynote speech, and it was one of those breakout sessions at an event, and it was probably about 60 minutes, maybe 90 minutes, and it was standing room only. And when he got done, people were like, no, you can't stop right now. Just keep going. Give me more. An incredible storyteller. We only have 30 minutes with him today, but I want to read off a little bit of his bio. John Ruhlin is the world's leading authority in maximizing customer loyalty through radical generosity. He's the founder and author of Giftology, an amazing book, and has been featured on Fox News, Forbes, Fast Company, Inc., and the New York Times. While becoming the number one performer out of 1.5 million sales reps for one of the world's most recognizable brands, John developed a system of using generosity to gain access to elite clients and generate thousands in referrals. He and his firm now help automate the process for individuals and organizations like UBS, Raymond James, D.R. Horton, Keller Williams, and the Chicago Cubs. John and the Giftology team can help any individual turn their clients into their own personal sales force. We unfortunately had some technical difficulties at the beginning of this recording, so we're going to join it midstream. But I just want to give you a little bit of background about John and his company. You know, most organizations trying to figure out what's the least amount of money that they can spend in taking care of their clients. John's philosophy is, what's the most that we can spend to take care of our most valuable assets, our clients?
And so we tell people, like, you should be reinvesting 5 to 15% of net profit. I don't care what your revenue is. That's a freaking ego metric. Like, what's your net profit on a relationship? And reinvest 5 to 15% to do three things. One is to keep them. Two is to grow them organically across divisions. And the third is the secret sauce that most people miss out on, which is turning all of your clients into raving fan advocates and loyalists that are really actively sending you referrals. And so in some cases, we're like, you can't afford to, or if you do the gift, like you have $1 million client and you want to invest $100,000 in them, unless they have a bunch of employees, like you're going to look like it's a bribe. So most of our gifts, our sweet spot is whatever you'd spend on a dinner, round of golf, ball game tickets, dinner out with a nice bottle of wine, those sorts of social experiences, you should be willing to do in a tangible artifact form. And so most of the gifts that we do for any company, I don't care if you're a $1 million company or you're a $20 billion company, $100 to $1,000 per gift. And most of the time, most of our clients are sending things out 4 times a year, so once a quarter. So if you have a bigger budget than that, then you can get creative with your events and your other dinners and whatever else. And that's where people suck a lot, is they do dinners, but they don't make it a once-in-a-lifetime dinner. They do the same Morton's dinner with the same bottles of wine, the same tired, playbook over and over again. Whereas, like, we just hosted a dinner for 20 people, and we flew in the first U.S. Master Som. There's only like 200 of them in the world. He's the first ever in the U.S., and he walked us through this 4-hour experience that people could never buy. Like, he gets hired by American Express for their like $1 billion clients. And we brought him in for 20 people, and people were like, their minds were melted off. Now, we ate and drank, but we did it in a way that was a once in a lifetime experience. That's how you do a dinner. And most people, they do their dinners the same way, but on the gifting side, that $100 to $1,000 per gift touch point, you can go higher, but you better be really sure that it's not going to look like you're charging too much, which is oftentimes what people do. They send out like a Louis Vuitton bag or a Rolex, and that can work if it's maybe one of your employees or somebody who's done something monumental. But if you're looking just to show gratitude and appreciation and just to stay memorable, like, there is that sweet spot. Not too little, not too much, and so that $100 to $1,000 is where we play most often.
And you also said stay away from the major holidays.
Oh my gosh, no ABCs. No anniversaries, no birthdays, no Christmas.
I love that. All right.
Yeah, no ABCs of gifting. No ABCs. And the reason is that most people give gifts out of obligation. They give them because they're expected at an event, a trade show, a birthday, an anniversary, Christmas. And they get no value from it because it's just noise. And that's what most people do. They give gifting. Hey, you sent me a referral. Now I get a gift. We never send gifts after referrals. We never send gifts after deals are done. Why? Because now you're turning that relationship that you value. Everybody says they're all about relationships, and you turned it into a transaction. I give you this and you give me this. Like that's a transactional relationship. We hate that. And yet that's what we communicate with our gifts. Bad idea. So our gifts show up just because I loved you, just because I love working with you, just because of the partnership. The only time I'll break that rule is if somebody gives me their time, because most people want to pick people's brains, use their time. They waste their time. It's an asset you'll never get back. You can't go spend it with your family. Like that's an important asset. So if somebody gives me 10 minutes of their time, I'll send them a $200 gift. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, 10 minutes of your time, you could have it with your kids, your business. Your time's worth thousands of dollars an hour. I actually still feel indebted, even though I sent you a $200 gift. And it melts, even like billionaires, it melts their face off because they're used to people wanting their time for free, or they're used to getting their time wasted. So when you acknowledge people that way, it's amazing how, so when I send gifts year round, it's never, I could send the same gift to 1,000 addresses, but because it shows up on a random day in April, everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're thinking of me, versus sending it to them on their birthday or Christmas when everybody's doing stuff.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. I was helping an entrepreneur recently. He was having trouble with his business. He was a sunglass rep and spent 15, 20 minutes on the phone. And he asked me, he said, I just want to send you a quick note to say thank you. So I gave him my address. And what comes in the mail? A set of sunglasses. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was
it's tangible. It's thoughtful.
I wasn't expecting it.
No, that's the other thing. People are like, hey, I want to send you a gift. I'm like, you just ruined the gift. Even billionaires like to be surprised. Like, why do you think we stay at the Ritz-Carlton, or you have an Amex, or like, we love to be surprised and delighted. And yet when you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to send you a gift, you ruin half of the experience of getting something out of the blue. I'm like, you idiot. Like, don't tell them you're going to send them a book or a thank you note, but make it a surprise. And then it's meaningful.
And you always personalize them.
Oh yeah. No, well, so this year my budget for gifting personally, just for John Ruhlin, is $400,000. I will not send out a single gift unless I can do two things. One is I can personalize it, their name, their family name. So even to this day, I still send out hundreds of thousands of dollars in Cutco knives, because it's a weird kind of out of the blue gift that people get. And I can take a $5,000 set of knives and break it into chunks. But I will never send it out unless I can put their name on it. And I never, and I mean never, out of all $400,000 in gifts this year, I will never put my logo on it. Mm. And people are like, how are they going to remember where it came from? And I'm like, if I gave you a Rolex, would I have to put my logo on it to remind you where it came from? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, if you send a world-class gift and you personalize it, they'll never forget where it came from. They have that subtle subconscious trigger. You turn it into a promo or an advertising item, and you ruined the opportunity for it to be a gift. And so the other thing we will never send out is gifts without a handwritten note, because otherwise, like, people can order stuff all the time on Amazon, but a packaged gift that's well thought out, that's surprise, that has their name on it, has the handwritten note, the whole 9 yards, that's a gift. It's from one human to another. People try to automate this and put it on Amazon or whatever else. I'm like, you completely missed the point. Like, the goal of the gift, the knife, the leather good, whatever it is a delivery vehicle to make somebody else feel acknowledged and special and VIP and known as a human. And when you try to automate that and send it without, a personalization or without the note, you might as well go spend your money on something else, because you're completely ruining the impact of what the gift should be.
What's some of the more unique gifts that you've given?
Well, you know this story. One of my favorite ones was Cameron Harold. He's a business coach. Travels all over the world, written like 5 books, and he was coming to Cleveland to my EO chapter where I was living at the time, and I wanted to get his attention. I wanted him to be a mentor of mine. I knew I couldn't afford his stupid, expensive hourly rate, and this is 12 years ago. And so I found out that he loved Brooks Brothers. That was his favorite store. He's from Canada. He's going to be in town, and he's going to go shopping there. And then his flight got delayed, so he wasn't going to have time to go shopping. And so I went to Brooks Brothers and bought $7,000 worth of clothes, everything in his size, the entire fall collection, belts, suits, jackets, sweaters, and outfitted his hotel room, the Ritz-Carlton room, to look like a Brooks Brothers store. And when he arrived, you could tell he didn't want to go to dinner and a ball game with me, which is what I'd offered. Cavs were in town. It was opening night. And when he came back down from his hotel room about 25 minutes later, he said, John, I've never had anybody treat me this way. I thought, in Dubai, they remembered my name. I had a towel waiting for me when I went out for a jog. He said, I'm calling authors and changing quotes. He said, whatever you want to talk about, for as long as you want to talk about it, I'm all ears. And so what's funny is that experience, he came back to me and said, John, I can't let you buy the clothes. Either you're going to tell me how much they cost, or I'm going to round up by 50% and send you a check for that. But the personalization, the act of going all in on somebody to shock and all them, because I didn't think he would take all the clothes, but I wanted to make it, like people are like, what, like I do that. I give people gift cards. They can go pick out what they want. I'm like, no, that's not the same. Like, you doing the work and the knowing the sizes and knowing his preferences and all those things, and then making it easy for somebody and giving it to them as a gift is different. A gift card is not that. A gift card is lazy. A gift card actually devalues the relationship. All of these things that you're not looking to do, and so that those type of experiences, I call them the shock and awe. We do those for clients. We do those for people that will hire us to do them for clients, but it's a little bit over the top. It doesn't always work. But 9 out of 10 times it does. And the payback is, the reason I can charge $25,000 to go keynote now is because when I was a no name, Cameron was advocating to event planners and EOers and YPOers saying, you got to bring this guy in. He's got amazing, his giftology system is incredible. People are like, giftology, what? Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it's worked. Those sorts of things worked out really well.
Yeah, it's amazing. He was on the show a couple months ago, and it was, it's such a small world, right? I'm in Vermont hiking a mountain 17 times, and there's a guy there, and he's trying to do it twice. Not
Brad Weimert?
Yeah. Figures everybody knows everybody, right?
Yeah, Brad's a Cutco guy. We've known each other for 20 years in Cutco. I mean, Cutco breeds entrepreneurs. They're training. Their training program is second to none. Brad and I competed against each other. He was in Michigan, I was in Ohio, and he got so pissed because he would go out and do Cutco the old way, and I would go out and sell thousands of knives to one person for a business strategy. And I'd take off 2 weeks and make one order and beat him in his 100 orders, and he would be so angry because he's so intense. Like, his ability to be disciplined. Oh my gosh! Then he did it. He climbed Everest.
Yeah.
Equivalent of Everest
34 times.
34 times, and most people didn't do 17.
Yeah, I got 14 done. This dude was like on fire. He was running up. It was almost jogging up and then running from the gondola over to this. Well, anyway, he was at like 30 or 29, and he was running out of time, and he gets on the phone with Cameron. He's like, Cameron, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fall up short. And he basically goes, look, helicopter. Get a helicopter. You can't get down quick enough? Fine. Walk up, run up, whatever you have to do. Get a helicopter, take you to the bottom. Stop whining, start figuring out solutions. Get your ass.
I mean, that's how Cameron thinks. That's a Brad thing to do. I mean, right now he's I'll give him a nice shout out. He just rented out a 250 passenger 747 jet to fly 250 entrepreneurs just because he wanted to hang out with them to Fiji. So, anything that dude does is not like small. Like, he's like curating 250 people to go over, just hang out. Not have to pay, but it's still like, that's the level that, that he plays in. And so does Cameron. And it's fun to hang out with, and be around and,
no question.
Be one of those guys. That's hilarious. I didn't realize you were doing that as well. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. That's where I met him, and an amazing entrepreneur, amazing guy.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah.
And what was really interesting is nobody understood why he was doing it 34 times. No one understood that he was raising money for charity. And at the event, I told him this. I said, you didn't see it because you were running up and down, but everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? Come on, relax, take it easy. 17 times is good enough. You don't have to do it 34 times. What are you trying to prove? Well, come to find out, what he's trying to prove is how much money he can raise for charity for a great cause.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's and other friends of ours from Cutco, him included, have bicycled across the country on bikes, speaking to schools and high schools about overcoming obstacles. Like, the dude, that's the fun part. A guy named Carl Drew and him, and there's all these guys that are like, they use Cutco and the training to basically go off and start companies and pursue their passions. But there's an element of Cutco that's woven into the DNA of wanting to give back. Like, we feel fortunate at 18 years old to find out about all of Tony Robbins and all these crazy things, and so we want to pay it forward and pass on the blessing. And some of the guys are men of faith, but at the core level, like, we want to leave the earth better than what when you came here. And Brad's one of those dudes. So that's awesome that you got to spend some time with him.
I think, there's got to be something about this like door-to-door sales job when you're 18. I did life insurance door-to-door at 18. Now, I was not number one. I was like number 1,050, 1,050,050. I was horrible. But what it breeds is, I don't know what it is, because I've met a bunch of the Cutco guys, and it just, I think at a young age, that constant rejection just builds up, an incredible stamina.
Yeah, well, it's the rejection. I think, it is a great product, so it's not like you're selling something, and
not like you're selling life insurance, huh?
Well, but life insurance is hard to compare to other life insurance. But a knife, you can very easily demonstrate this knife sucks, this knife is good. It's made in the U.S. Like, there's a good story around it, but the training, the people, and I think the fact that they tie into other personal growth and development at a young age. You have 18-year-olds going to Tony Robbins. Most 40-year-olds have never been to Tony Robbins, and so I think they've tied in a bunch of different things to make it work really, really well. Great product, great training, great support. And then the culture is just, you got 60,000 college kids a year working for a company. The cream does tend to rise to the top, and then, they're all competitive and, going at each other, but in a good way. Like, they're collaborating, not just competing, which I think is unusual for a company. But yeah, Southwestern, the book company, is another company that started a lot of, that spawned off Roy Vaden and a lot of other guys that are doing amazing things now. So yeah, you get that entrepreneurial, the sales rejection, the good training at 18. It's, you feel like at 22, you can do anything.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the sales culture and some of the things that you learned at Cutco.
Well, I think you learn to handle objections before they come up. You learn, goal setting. You learn how to plan out your schedule. You learn how to jump on the phone and make people laugh and engage people, because you're talking to people you've never met before. Same at the booth. If you have a table at a booth or whatever else. But they teach you that, and they teach you how to engage people, have fun, build trust really quickly. How to demonstrate. Don't just talk about it, but show it. Don't just tell. But I think that one of the biggest things that they did was it was no cold calling, which is unusual. Most people think it's just door to door, but what they did is you work with your warm market, which is really what you should do in business anyway. We tell people all the time, most people work on the new blood and prospecting. I'm like, if you would just take care of your clients and your suppliers and your centers of influence really well, you wouldn't have to cold prospect very often. Yeah. And people are like, no, that's not true. I'm like, well, I don't send out gifts to cold people. I meet them first, or I get introduced to them. And so I think they teach you how to ask for referrals really well and build that trust. And if people like you, then they want to refer you. If they don't like you, then they don't. And so I remember, me and Brad and these guys, we would have thousands of people to call that we've been referred to. We didn't have enough hours in the day to call everybody. Like, most people are struggling for leads. Like, there was no struggle for leads. We would get really good at qualifying the best ones. And that's what I did early on. Was I realized if I could go to sell to somebody, I want to go sell to business owners, entrepreneurs. Why? They have disposable income. They like quality. And guess what? I can double dip. If I sell them on me and on the product, I can go back 6 months later and sell them gifts for their employees and a business strategy for their customers. And so I think the culture there, while they have a great system, they also have taught people, hey, if you have an idea and you master the basics, go off and pursue. Like, now we sell to the military, and now we do all of these, sell to realtors. We're the number one closing gift for real estate in the world, because I taught somebody that wanted to go off and pursue that, and they did, and they built this great business with it. And so I think mastering the basics, but also, like, once you become a master at those, inspiring people to go out and step out in faith and try something and fail. I don't think very many companies are okay with failure. They're like, follow the program, and if you don't, we're kicking you out. Cutco is the exact opposite of that. They've inspired people, and because of that, they've benefited from the culture of growth and open-mindedness to ideas and whatever else. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. But
it does. No, absolutely. Let's dive in specifically what your company does for businesses. For the business owners listening out there, they're saying, this sounds pretty cool, but I don't want to manage this. I've got one more thing that I have to do. How do you guys step in and take care of this from A to Z?
Yeah. Well, the goal is that if somebody can identify a couple data points on their key relationships: clients, prospects, referral partners, centers of influence, media, even suppliers. If they can send us the list of those relationships and what the value of those relationships currently are and what they could be if they became a referral partner, not just a passive loyalist, we can literally, my team of giftologists, they jump on the phone, we lay out a plan for their top 20, top 50, top 100, top 200. We pick the gift. We tell you what the budget should be for the gift. We tell you what the item should be, how it should be personalized, what the handwritten note should say. We basically, once somebody hands us the list, we take care of everything on the back end. Because most people, they suck at handwriting notes. They have good intentions of sending out gifts, but they're not UPS. They end up getting, they get behind on it because they're not good at it. And then they start shopping with their own eyes because they love technology. So they give everybody technology. Meanwhile, half the people they're giving to, or it's not landing well. So at a core level, what the giftology system is and giftology fulfillment is people will give us their relationships. We'll pick the gifts and essentially we make them their relationships feel loved on. And because of that, the idea of getting referrals without asking and getting people that are, running through walls for you from a loyalty perspective. The goal is that we stay kind of like the Wizard of Oz in the background, just pulling the strings and making sure everything happens, but they don't have to touch anything. They don't have to handwrite anything. They don't do anything. They just have to identify those people. And our team of giftologists takes care of everything on the back end to make sure that those people feel loved on.
So you're like the company for dudes.
Exactly. I don't do personal gifting. If you want me to do gifting for your wife or your partner,
can we club those in there? Come on, yeah, that's a whole other lane.
Yeah, that's a level of depth. It's one thing to do business gifting really well, but people all the time, guys will be like, "I suck at gifting." I'm like, "Hey, I'm a farm boy from Ohio. I milked goats for most of my life. My love language is words of affirmation, not gifting. If I can become an expert at this, anybody can. It's a matter of focusing on it, being intentional, listening." Don't just do anniversaries, birthdays, and Christmas for your spouse. Like that just gets you like at a baseline level. Like you have to surprise and delight her. You have to listen for the little details. You have to make the gift all about her or him and not about you. And most people make it, it's not rocket science, but it does take time and energy and effort to pull it off. In business, most people just can't scale that. If they have 20 relationships, 200 relationships, 2,000 relationships, it's a nightmare to try to send a gift to 2,000 people or 200 people. And so we take that off people's plates. But personally, if you have one relationship to take care of, then you just have a little Evernote like, hey, she just said that she liked X, Y, and Z. Write it frickin' down. Go look at it on Pinterest or whatever else. And she'll be blown away. He'll be blown away.
I still see a business opportunity here.
I'm sure, but I'm going to stay in my lane of I don't want to do one-off gifts I want to do 1,000 gifts at a time. So I'm sure somebody will make that a wonderful, wonderful business. It just won't be my business.
It won't be you. A client of mine just started a new business, Real Men Buy Flowers. And it's basically a flower subscription program for dudes. It's like, all right, you don't know what to send, how to send. You have no idea what even to put in the card. And her entire staff is female. So she goes, look, just tell us how much you want to spend a year and we'll take care of the rest. And they're like, awesome.
Boom.
Great.
Yeah. Take it off my plate and make me look good. That's what, like make my relationships feel loved and appreciated. I love it. That's super smart.
Absolutely. John, man, we could go on for hours and hours. I know you're in Kauai at a conference, giving a keynote speech, and you've got a convertible rented this afternoon and going to go enjoy the island. So have an amazing time. Tell the audience how they can get in touch with you.
Well, being a giftologist, it'd kind of be silly of me not to practice what I preach and not to give your tribe a gift of sorts, right? So I would say that probably the biggest thing I could give from a contact info is I mentioned gift cards are the worst and consumables are the worst. We created a white paper that all of our clients, when they're onboarding, we walk them through. So if they want to do some of the gifting on their own, they can at least avoid the 10 worst gifts to avoid giving. And so your tribe can go download that white paper for free at thegiversedge.com. And if they just followed that white paper, they'd be better than 95% of the companies and businesses and leaders out there, because it just talks about what the gift is, why to avoid it, and what to give instead. And so I'd start there. If they want to go on Amazon and buy Giftology, the book, it's on Audible and Kindle and paperback and hardcover and a million other things. But I'd say those are the two best places to start. If they want to get in touch with me directly, they can email me, John@RuhlinGroup, John at RUHLIN group.com. And that's my personal email.
And do you have one of your business cards with you?
I am sure I do, but I'd have to dig through the suitcase, the metal ones.
Exactly.
I can. Anybody that wants to see one of those, they can email me. I'm happy to snap a photo and send it back to them. But we now, I don't know if you know this or not, Thor, but we have metal letterhead now, which is 6x9 piece of steel that I write on with a Sharpie. So when somebody gets a handwritten note from me, it's $9 just for the piece of metal to write on, which people freak out over, which, you can't buy anything for $9 anymore. I mean, you buy a flashlight that's in the trash can 3 days later. So the handwritten note to us is really, really powerful. So we've upgraded the
upgraded from the card. So the business card is a aluminum
steel.
It's a steel business card, engraved, and each one is how much?
They're about $3 a piece.
$3 a piece. So, they walk their talk. Here is something you could, easily send out a paper business card, but you hand someone a metal business card, and what do you do with it? You never throw it out.
It's crazy. Yeah. Where everybody goes cheap, go expensive, and where everybody goes expensive, cut it out altogether because it's just noise. Yeah. Simple concept, but it's hard to live.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on. You're amazing. And if you don't have the book, go out there, get it. It is fantastic.
Hey, thanks for having me, Thor. I'm going to go jump in the car.
See ya.
See ya.